remember, this is old guys playing games, so
True, yeah, that's a good
we can be
point.
curmudgeon-y and say why we hate it.
Okay, I'm down with that.
Hi, this is Jason with Old Guys Playing Games, and we're back for yet another episode. This is number 3, guys. What do you think?
That's never gonna not make me want to crack up when you start.
Awesome.
I think we should call it old guys learning how to use microphones, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, it took us, I'm looking at the counter, it took us 10 minutes to get to this point. We're all remote. 2 of our buds are on the road, on a road trip together, and the rest, Josh and I are remote. So, okay, we're starting with a topic near and dear to our hearts. Maybe not everyone on the listening to the show, but at least this group of old guys playing games have been longtime Call of Duty fans on Xbox, of course. And I think the thing that we should maybe update the group on is what do we think? What are our early impressions of the latest edition of Call of Duty, which is called
Vanguard.
Vanguard. And we've all been playing for the past couple days, and they keep extending it. I'm going to first maybe toss it to Ken as a longtime Call of Duty fan and player. What are your first thoughts about Vanguard? First, maybe for the listeners, describe what Call of Duty is all about, and then maybe like how Vanguard fits in.
Well, Call of Duty is a first-person shooter, military type, not a space type, although they have had some futurized versions of it. But I got into it early on when it started doing like World War II style Call of Duty, and I really enjoyed the older weapons and style. And then it went into more modern day, and then some future stuff. But typically, it's capture the flag or King of the Mountain or stuff like that, battle royale. We got back into it though this past year with people working from home and some shutdown stuff going on. We started getting back into it just kind of for sanity's sake. But we all pre-ordered the next one, which is going backwards because the current version is more of a modern day version of Call of Duty, modern day weapons, modern day villains. And the next one's coming out, it's called Vanguard, is actually a World War II, Stuart, or World War One?
Two.
World War II, and the beta, we were allowed to get into the beta program because of purchasing early, and we've been playing it for the past couple of days. Stuart and I had a trip planned and discovered that the beta was going to be released, so we brought our Xboxes with us. So we've been trying to find hotels that can allows us to play our games online.
That's the kind of Xbox fans we are. Go ahead.
Yeah. I would want to reframe that description a little bit and say it's a fun game where you can go crap up. And speaking of the pandemic, I think for us, it's actually led us to this podcast, right? Like the 4 of us play just about every day now. And, we've all, at least 3 of us have been friends for a long time. We met Ken, way back when, and then had a lapse, and now we're all back together. But it's a stress reliever where you can just go in there and blow crap up. How many times have we sent a text that's, I need to shoot blank? Shoot blank. I had a bad day at work and I need to shoot blank.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it goes. I mean, the best way to describe Call of Duty, because people think first person shooter, whatever. It's really just a way for your brain to completely shut off and do something different. And the great thing about, I think, what Xbox did many years ago, and the ability for us to have a party chat like we're doing now on this podcast. I think you're right, Josh. I mean, it's brought us together again. But there was the ability to sort of just, it's more personal than. I know our parents would be like, video games aren't personal. But they actually are more personal now, and I think Call of Duty's sort of been that for us.
Yeah, I think each of our family members know what it's like when we play this game. Like when you talk to folks and you say like, "Oh, we play video games together," what they may picture if they haven't been around this is like, oh, you go into a game, you all connect on the game, and you play the game all at the same time. But actually, what Stu just mentioned, or Ken or someone mentioned, that It actually it's this party chat that we put our headsets on, and you're playing the game while being able to talk to one another and only one another. Yes, there is a way to sort of turn it on to where you can talk to all the players at once, but we go into a party mode, and the four of us are talking just amongst the four of us while we play the game. And sometimes we're talking strategy. Most of the time, we're talking nothing about the game.
Or cursing the game. Well, don't forget about that part, or at least me. For the most part, it's probably me cursing.
Yeah, but in reality, a lot of the time, Jason, you're right. A lot of times we're talking about our lives, right?
Right.
And we always know what's going on in each other's lives in between. Look out, or how did that guy get me? Or
get my stuff.
Yeah.
Or that's my guess. That's my guess.
That's my guess. Or Stu is always the one that has taken out the sentry turret. No matter how or where that sentry turret is gone, Stu was the one that took it out. Even if he's not in the game, he probably took it out.
Somebody needs to be the guy that takes out the sentry turret.
That's right. And everyone has a role. That's what's fun. Like if we maybe only two of us can get together and play, it's still fun. But there is something special about all four of us, because Ken is going to go to B. He's going to go to the second point, and he's going to hold that better than anyone on the planet can hold that spot. Then Josh is going to go ferociously across the battlefield and take out as many people as he can. I'm usually better than Josh. Just
can we show what do you call it, the barracks and the stats?
We'll have to
just
share it on
just
our
to prove
website.
that out.
Jason,
Yeah, we'll go ahead and put that on the website.
I mean, Jason's the guy that jumps out of the moving Jeep and then says, "Hey, let's get out of the Jeep," when he's already gone.
How many times I go, wait, has he jumped out? We're still in this thing, and it's rolling down the road. But, Call of Duty has been an incredible franchise. I mean, what year did we start playing Call of Duty? It's got to be, like, more than 10 years?
I was just looking at the progression. The first one says 2003. So
wow.
So that was the summer after Xbox Live was open.
Yeah.
18
so
years.
yeah. Which one was that one called again?
It's just Call of Duty. Yeah, Call of Duty.
That's incredible. And what we all
Describe
love,
that one,
like, yeah, what was the first one?
Let me. I'll click it. It's like Call of Duty, then 2, 3, then Modern Warfare. This is just. It looks like it's World War II. It looks like it's World War II. Yeah.
I think it was World War II. I think that's right. I think it wasn't. Yeah.
But PC, it's PC only.
I didn't play PC. The first time I was introduced to Call of Duty was on Xbox.
Yeah, me too. Because they also had Medal of Honor, which I'm just seeing in here, which I know I played that before Call of Duty.
Yep.
And then switched.
Yep.
But like what's amazing is we all love the modern weapons, and there's certainly like call-in airstrikes and napalm strikes and all these really amazing things. But like there's something special about going back to the World War II era where you're playing with these like pretty not archaic, but you're playing with much less capable against today's standards weaponry and kill streaks and all kinds of fun things that go along with the game. It is a really neat environment to be in because none of us can actually imagine what it was like to live during that time and then to be in warfare with these sorts of weapons. What do you guys think about, like, because we flip pretty often between the two games right now, Call of Duty Cold War for multiplayer, and then this Vanguard game. Like, why do you like to play the different ones and not just sort of one exclusively?
I like the weapons for me. To go back to World War II, I love those weapons.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's cool to watch, and the way that the graphics have gotten so good.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not real, right? But it's fun to see how they do the weapon reloads and the noises and everything, which are they model all that stuff, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I wish the stories were a little bit more. I know they went away for a little bit from some of the more historically accurate stuff, and they're tweaking things. But I think the cool thing is when you go reload a weapon, you're like, come on! It's like, come on! It takes forever.
Well, you bring up a good point though, because as me for an old guy, I like the pace of the World War II games better.
Good point.
The modern games seem to run really, really fast. And, you got weapons that shoot faster. You have weapons that load faster. So playing the Vanguard, for me, forces me to play a little slower and be more careful instead of just running out into the fray. I do take cover more often, and I try to analyze where the fire's coming from instead of just jumping down the middle.
Well, that's really interesting. And someone's been on a trip with Ken now for the last couple of days, and for the first couple of nights, we only had one TV in our room. He is
dear.
a crouching dude. Let me tell you, he's not running. He's not a Jason.
Uh-huh. You can imagine me with a clicker, right? And maybe 4 times around the entire loop before I decide on something.
I think
Ken
I'd
is
pay
probably-
good money for you to sit in a room and watch Ken play.
Oh my god.
Well, no, when
Yeah.
we see it on the spectate cam, like
That's true.
Jason and I are like, how do you play like that? It's so
Well,
Intentional, we call it. Intentional. Very intentional.
The other thing
It's
I
a
know,
positive.
you don't have as much ammo. They're trying to be a little historically accurate there, and so the weapons don't carry as much. You don't carry enough on your body. So I've run out several times because I've been trying to play a little faster, and I run out of ammo. So I was like, oh geez, I got to figure something out. So
I think they'll
Yeah.
tweak that. I think they're gonna change. I mean, that'll change though. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. The game doesn't officially launch. It's in beta and launches when?
I think it's November 1st.
Okay, so we got a couple of months until, and it's still pretty raw. Like, we notice there are all kinds of things that are frustrating, but we know it's a beta, so we aren't expecting it to be perfectly polished. We'll see what happens when it launches.
that they have applied frequent updates.
Yeah, it's much better.
On a daily basis. It's
Right.
about maybe 6 hours or 12 hours. Some of the things that weren't working before are working now, like weapon upgrades and leveling up the weapons, and that's
Yeah.
all back now. We can do that.
One of the things I noticed, I don't know if you guys know this, but I remember we did the last beta, the previous, I can't remember what they called it, but I remember like it was hard to see stuff. I'm noticing that on this one too, and I don't think it's just because I'm an old guy. Like I remembered it wasn't that bad when it finally launched. I wonder if that's a lot of the rendering and stuff that eventually we'll get when the real one comes out.
Yeah, that's probably the case.
Well, they are trying something new. They're trying to do real-time texture mapping on demand. So they're
Streaming
it's
it.
not all downloaded. They're streaming it. So that's something totally different and
Got
something
it.
new that hopefully they will iron that out before this thing goes gold.
Yeah,
That's what's amazing through the history of this game. We started where it was all, played off media. It was played off a CD-ROM. And then we went to an era of you downloaded the game, and now we're headed to you stream the bits. And there probably will never be, there'll probably be a time where you're not really getting any download local at all, except game saves or some caching or something. It'll be interesting to see if that ever gets to full streaming, like I think they have envisioned, which would be tough. But
well, they're trying. They're trying, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's where they're headed. So we'll come back to Call of Duty on future episodes because this is like literally the game we spend a few minutes a week playing. A lot of our lives go into playing that game. But the other topic that I wanted to touch on today is just maybe to go to a completely different direction. When I look at the younger generation, I see them sitting on airplanes and trains when I did see them that way, or in my own house with my daughters. I see a lot of mobile gaming. I see phones out, whether they're just doing it with their fingers or if they have some sort of device that's holding a controller or holding the phone on the controller or around the controller. Did any of you guys get into mobile gaming at all? And if you did, what do you play, or what did you play? And if not, why?
No way. I can't stand it. And I think this is me being the old guy. I just can't stand it. To play like a legit like Call of Duty or soccer or FIFA, something like that. It's just it's not authentic. It's not real. I'll play Tetris, Solitaire, but not like a real gamer's game. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with Josh there. I have tried to play some of the first-person shooters or platform games on my phone, and it is, I am not built for that.
No.
That is not my forte. However, bringing up Tetris, playing puzzle games or playing mystery games or card games or stuff like that, I find it's the perfect medium for that,
Agreed.
to blow some time. But I have tried to play sports games and tried to play first-person shooters, but I can't deal with that virtual D-pad, the controller that's on the screen. It just no.
I'm with you guys. I just haven't. It hasn't done it for me, right? I mean, I go back to the original handheld games I had as a kid, and I think it just doesn't. The mobile gaming is just not there for me. Maybe it's a type of game. I see all these ads for all these things that people play where they buy cookies and tokens and diamonds or whatever. I've never liked those games. It doesn't do anything for me, and the other stuff isn't, the horsepower isn't there to do what we need to do. And even with mobile Xbox gaming and other stuff, it's not the same.
Yeah, I think it's someone, maybe Ken, you said it right, but the category of games, which there are a massive number of categories, the category of game that I am fine playing, but I don't necessarily put in even the same like camp as everything else we typically talk about, is just like one finger, like thumb based puzzle games that can kill time while I'm waiting in a waiting room, or I'm on a plane and I'm just like bored and I want to do something. That stuff I have filled a lot of dead time with, but certainly not turning it horizontal, using the virtual D-pad or whatever, like controller, or
throw
bringing
in the accelerometer and have to tilt it and turn it.
None of that nonsense.
No way. Maybe I'm not coordinated enough to do that.
I like the innovation that they're trying with utilizing that type of technology in gaming, but unfortunately, as an old guy, I have a hard time with it. Now, using that same type of technology in the Wii and stuff like that, where you have the accelerometer and the controllers, as well as VR for that matter.
Yeah.
That But now I've even hooked up a controller to my phone and tried to play online with Xbox streaming and played some games that way, and it's a better experience. But going back to the old, my eyes weren't as good as they used to be. So they're I can't see it, so it's real hard to do that.
There's probably some listeners that are listening and say, like, you guys aren't talking about the biggest mobile game platform ever. You're not even talking about Pokemon Go. And that is an extraordinary, like, I'm not into it at all. I don't have any affinity to it. But there are people that spend hours and hours and hours with the concept of augmented reality, and the phone is an incredible, device for that sort of thing, where you're sort of putting the phone over the real world and finding stuff and doing these battles. That's different. I have no interest in it. Zero. So
yeah, I mean, I tried it. Right. I mean, to me, Pokemon Go is the Popeye's chicken sandwich. It's the fad that sort of burned out, right? I think
good right now.
I mean,
it's a good sandwich, though.
It is a good sandwich, and the people that love Pokemon Go love it, right? To me, it's like a geocache, right? It's the same type of thing. And
I used to do that with my girls. That is fun.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. But I think it was a quick burn, right? It was and it was sort of cool, great. There's the Pokemon bouncing over there, but that was when you think about when that started. The phone, how much phones have changed even since then.
Yeah, and a future episode we'll talk. Oh, go ahead.
I played the beta of the precursor to the Pokemon Go, which was a game called Ingress, which was made by the same company, Niantic Labs, and I played that, and that was an AR type game where you had to use your phone to find certain things in the world and interact with them, and I found that to be loads of fun. But I'm also a geocacher, so
yeah.
I enjoyed getting out in the world and finding things that normal people can't see or don't look for. And so I found that really interesting. And I do have a young son, and he really enjoyed the Pokemon. So we did that as a family as well.
So interesting that you mentioned Niantic, because of what they did early on and what they've been investing over the years on enabling Pokemon Go. There's many that believe Niantic will win this race for the metaverse gaming, because they're way ahead of any other company on the planet, mapping out the worlds, mapping out what the layers on top of the real world. So it'll be interesting to watch what happens with the whole metaverse thing.
I think what's really going to help them is the licensing that they got. So they got the Pokemon. Now they have a licensed product through the Harry Potter franchise. Ooh. So you're building and building on that product, and that technology, and you have those licenses that bring the people in. I think that's going to be really, really important for them.
Yeah, that'll be a fun topic. We'll come back to that. We haven't talked much about VR and AR gaming, but there's some cool stuff happening out there that we'll talk about. But tonight it was all about Call of Duty, at least an early taste of what we're seeing with Vanguard, and we'll certainly keep this group updated, but also a little bit about mobile gaming, which you can clearly tell from this old crew, not really our bag. We'll watch it. We'll see what happens, but it's not something we're spending a lot of time on. We're curious and always interested to hear what you think. We're going to put a link on the Twitter handle as well as the website on a place that you can leave us messages, and we can play those messages on future episodes and respond back to your questions or your comments about the show. If you feel so inclined, we would love to hear from our listeners and just hear what you think.
I feel like that's opening up a big can of worms, but that's okay.
let's ask the question of our other old guys or old girls playing games. Would Myst be a good game to play on your mobile device?
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, let us know. Let us know what you think about that, or anything else that you so care to share with us. We're dying for someone to acknowledge that they actually listen to this damn thing. With that, we'll call a close to another episode of Old Guys Playing Game, because why, guys? We're gonna go play Call of Duty.
See you on the battlefield.
Thanks all.
I'll probably win, so that's fine.
Yeah, so I'm the best. So okay.
So humble. I'm gonna get